while you can still stand to see the light. You got to occupy the nation with song and dance tonight.
What the Occupy Wall Street movement is doing, I think, is trying to reclaim a space, not only for a certain kind of politics, but for a very definite sense of humanity that recognizes that people are individual human beings, each with their own set of, with the right to demand a satisfying and meaningful life.
We're starting to get to that breaking point where people actually don't want to put up with the shit anymore. They don't want to just stand by anymore. It's getting to that point where they can't, where they feel like they can't just stand by anymore. Something must be done. And so it just took for a couple of people in Wall Street to set an example. And I think everybody was looking for an excuse to do something, and this was it.
We've lost our democracy, and I think it's time to take it back. And if we don't do it now, I don't know that we'll have another chance. And I think we're going to do it. So, thank you. And one more thing, there's been a lot of talk about this movement, which I believe it's a movement that's going to be outrageously huge, that there's not an agenda, that we don't know what we're doing. Well, our country's broken. Corporate America owns our government, and everything is so broken that there's not just one issue. Anyway, I'm just so happy. I'm happy, and I believe that we can take our democracy back. Thank you.
Not having a structure, not having a detailed organization is not necessarily a weakness. Mm-hmm. In fact, it might well be a major strength of the movement.
Topple the corporation!
At least we still have housing.
Oh yeah, housing's
basic.
Yeah, it's basically. And what's that like?
people, well, 99%. I mean, you know, just in general, anybody who cannot buy a politician, anybody who cannot buy, you know, out a company, things like that, you know, that's a lot of people, 99%, right? That's a lot of people.
The system is for profit. More than occupation will never lead to liberation. It's bullshit. Get off it. The system is for profit.
It seems that when you put the boot down in one area, the pressure forces it to arise in some other city or in some other locality. And the apparent formlessness of the organization fits in very well, I think, with the need to be flexible in contemporary America, which is defined by the proliferation of different identity groups, different ethnic movements, different ecological movements, movements of all different kinds, each of whom have very specific interests, which can sometimes diverge from the interests of others. And so the OWS flourishes in a multiple array of different settings, precisely because it does not lay down a strict criteria for membership, but rather leaves it to local actors to define for themselves the kind of organization they want to run, how they want to run the organization, who are the leaders, temporary or more long-term, that represents the local community. These are issues that are resolved on the spot by groups as they evolve. It is absolutely, I think, a brand new version of politics.
Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like!
So agenda items for today are
So rebranding Thanksgiving to Thanksgiving. Agenda item number 1, if everyone accepts it. Okay, cool. Second, just an open discussion about the events that are happening on Friday, aka Buy Nothing Day. Since there's different actions going on, just so people can know what's up. Cool.
A couple of things that came out of that meeting. Unfortunately, we ran out of time with the mediator, so we're going to reconvene that meeting next week after the holiday. But one thing that we wanted to make very clear to them, and we want to make it very clear to you, and that is that in no way does this meeting or this negotiation put off any action that we have as occupiers. If we have actions of marches, if we have actions of, I hear lots of rumors of reoccupying the square, or flash mobs, or passing out flyers, or anything like that. In no way does this negotiation with these city council members give us reason to pause on any of these actions. It should in no way derail any of these actions. In fact, I would encourage you to accelerate these actions. These are the types of things that keep the pressure on City Council, that keep the pressure on the Mayor's office, that keep the pressure on the police department. So in no way let these negotiations derail you from any of your actions.
When I think of my role as an ally, I reach beyond unity and practice solidarity. Because I have learned that we're not just people coming together, we're people struggling together. When I decolonize my mind, I focus less on myself and more on social oppression. Because I have learned that this struggle isn't about individual rights, it's about collective power.
People of color to come together to fight for our right for self-determination. So, with that, we know that this movement has been before us for a long time, and we know we will continue it for a long time thereafter. This is what we are striving for long-term movements with leadership that works with the masses, that work with the leaders that are moving this movement. We We know that we need to think strategically. We need to think with tactics. We have to defend ourselves. That is what we know as part of our history for so many years. And we will know this and continue on after that. So, we know with that, it means one down. Today we are here. We got one down. We got so much more work to do. We got another more to come. So, I'll go again. We'll read this with the mask. And we're gonna clap. And what we do is we clap, and then we end it with like one big clap, and we say Sang Baksak. But also what I've learned from UCSD, from a lot of the students who inspire a lot of the movements on campus and college campuses across the country, is that we say, I got your back, holla back.
One day, everybody will be happy. Just gotta keep your head up today. Well, now I understand why we're all confused. Cause we're sitting around watching the TV news. Well, it makes it worse. The television's cursed, and nobody'll know the verse unless we all rehearse it first. I'm ready, I'm steady, I keep looking, but you won't let me. I'm sorry, but I refuse to believe that this is how we're meant to be. You'll be safe with me, you are safe with me. And I was just walking down the avenue, I'm looking for something crazy to do. You were looking up while tying your shoes. You take me for a simple fool, I'm walking downtown to the swimming pool. Everybody knows that you will just drool. I'm playing such a simple song, I'm making it short, man, it won't take long. All I wanna hear are the notes that are wrong. And now I understand why we're all confused. We're sitting around watching the TV news. It makes it worse, well, the television's cursed, and nobody'll know the verse unless we all rehearse it first. I'm ready, I'm steady, I keep looking, but you won't let me. I'm sorry, but I refuse to believe this is how we're meant to be. You'll be safe with me, you are safe with me.
If there is any demand, it's for people to occupy public space, and that alone creates an empowered public, creating a new relationship with the space itself. When you have, you know, this ideology of privatize everything and you off of here, you away from here, this fence here, and division, occupying in the public sphere and creating this type of movement is empowering and meeting a demand in itself, and people are coming out and people are doing that.
We represent over 100 of the faculty here on campus, your professors, your instructors, and we're here to endorse both the Occupy Wall Street movement, to endorse the Occupy San Diego movement, and to endorse the Occupy higher education movement.
The Occupy Wall Street movement, a grassroots movement, not aligned with two major parties, like the Tea Party movement, nevertheless has a very different orientation and set of expectations. It is particularly opposed to the involvement of corporations in every aspect of life. With the age of globalization, with the steady removal of state regulations on what corporations can do, a process that has been greatly boosted by the Supreme Court's decision recently, essentially allowing unrestricted private money to circulate within the political arena. There is a sense that in America, everything has been invaded by dollar considerations. Many groups in America that feel disenchanted, that feel marginalized, and who feel powerless against the huge corporations, and who feel neglected by the two parties that are supposed to represent them. For this reason, I think that the Occupy Wall Street movement is going to have a far greater impact, not only on American politics, but on American culture.
I really hope that it will light a fire under everyone's ass, not just the politicians, not just people in general, but like everyone, you know, absolutely everyone, that things are changing, whether we like it or not. Because either we can continue this way and completely collapse, or we can bring on a smart change ourselves and just kind of cushion that blow that's inevitably coming, I feel.
This past weekend, we did a thing called Not for Occupy, and we literally did street canvassing and door-to-door canvassing, talking to people about this issue. We were able to move 26 people from being non-supportive to supporting Occupy, as well as gathering over 400 petitions asking the City Council to adopt a resolution in support of Occupy. So it's really cool. It was a group of about 35 people here training, and 15 of us, actually 15 to 18, were about to actually go out. And so that's what happened. In about 2 hours of time, we were able to get 400 signatures and change over 25 people's minds about Occupy. So if you're interested in doing that more, we can print up those petitions. We have persuasion charts, so that when people tell you you don't support, you have questions and statistics and things to point to and ask them about it. It's really cool. It's really fun. We're going to try and do it at least once a month down here. But if anyone wants to take up doing it, we'll try and set it up. So come talk to me later if you want to.
The great problem for the authorities is, how do you stamp out an idea? And this is proving to be very, very difficult, because the flexible forms of protest, the absence of a strict hierarchy means that you cannot buy off leaders, you cannot put leaders in jail. It truly does seem that in order to stamp out the idea, you have to stamp out the organization. The movement itself, which cannot be done legitimately in a country that calls itself a democracy. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the OWS is going to be around for quite a while. And I do think that it will have a major impact on politics. And it's not accidental, I think, that we see in President Obama a creeping willingness to sound a little bit more combative than he was just a few months ago. I would put it this way: if it were not for the OWS movement, President Obama would not have that more combative tone that he has today. Mm-hmm. And I think that the impact of the OWS is definitely beginning to influence presidential politics already. Even the Republican Party has begun to, very cautiously of course, but nevertheless has begun to echo some of the criticisms that the OWS movement itself is making, especially about the extent of corporate control over American life.
Just want to say that we choose what we want. You know, like, we choose what we want to get. We want to get peace, we want to get unity, we want to get one country, whatever we want to get. Happiness, you know, things like that. I mean, it's all in our mind. And this movement is more of a spiritual movement. I'm not going to say it's religious, it's more of a spiritual thing, right? It's like, when we feel in the spirit that is just getting us out like that, man. It's like, what can I say? And we're like a family, and we're trying to remember what happened through the veil, but it's kind of, we're like blur, but we still can see it. We can see, we can feel there's something.
Don't ask the reason why.